2025 is not a promise. It is a demand. It demands movement, discipline, and ownership. It does not care about who you were last year, how many times you failed, or how many plans you abandoned. The clock has reset, but the rules have not changed. Results still belong to those who act. Get up, not when you feel ready, not when conditions improve. Get up because staying down is costing you more than effort ever will. Comfort has been expensive. Delay has been expensive. Excuses have drained time, energy, and potential. This year is about stopping the negotiation with weakness. Every morning you wake up, a choice stands in front of you. Either you move forward or you fall behind. There is no standing still. Life does not pause while you decide. The world rewards momentum, not intention. Get up when your body feels heavy. Get up when your mind is loud. Get up when discipline feels inconvenient. Strength is not built on easy days. It is built on days you would rather quit, but choose not to. You do not need more motivation. Motivation is unreliable. You need structure. You need standards. You need a non-negotiable commitment to action. Do the work because it is required, not because it feels inspiring. Get it done even when no one sees it, especially when no one sees it. Real progress happens in silence. Loud effort fades quickly. Consistent effort compounds. Stop waiting for clarity to magically appear. Clarity comes from movement. Action creates direction. Sitting still creates doubt. The longer you hesitate, the heavier the first step becomes. This year demands responsibility. No blaming your past, no blaming your environment, no blaming timing. Responsibility is not punishment, it is power. When you take ownership, you regain control. Your body is your engine. Train it, respect it, discipline it. A weak body creates a weak will. A trained body supports a strong mind. Show up physically so you can show up mentally. Pain will be part of this year. Accept it. Pain is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to adjust, to breathe, to focus. Growth without discomfort is a fantasy. Progress asks for effort. Consistency will matter more than talent. Small actions done daily will outperform rare moments of intensity. Do not aim to be extreme. Aim to be relentless. Aim to be reliable. Get up on the days you fail. Get up after setbacks. Get up after embarrassment. Falling is part of the process. Staying down is a decision. You do not need permission to begin. You do not need approval to continue. The work does not care about opinions. It responds only to effort. This year is about building an identity. Someone who shows up. Someone who keeps promises. Someone who does not wait to feel confident before acting. Confidence is built through action, not thought. Get it done imperfectly. Progress does not require perfection. It requires movement. Adjust as you go. Learn as you move. Refine through repetition. Stop romanticizing the future. Build it daily, quietly, with discipline, with patience, with consistency. 2025 belongs to those who get up before excuses speak, who move when comfort begs them to stay, who act while others hesitate, who understand that success is not a moment, but a habit repeated without applause. Get up, get focused, get uncomfortable, get disciplined, get it done. Most people rush into action because movement feels productive, but motion without direction is just noise. You can be busy all day and still go nowhere. Before any real progress happens, there must be clarity. Clarity is knowing exactly what you are aiming at, why it matters, and what you are willing to sacrifice for it. Without this, effort is wasted, energy leaks away, and discipline collapses at the first sign of resistance. Clarity begins with honesty. Brutal honesty. You must look at your life without excuses and without stories that make you comfortable. Where are you actually standing right now? Not where you hope you are. Not where you tell people you are. Where you truly are. Your habits, your results, your health, your skills, your relationships all tell the truth. If you listen carefully, they reveal exactly who you have been training yourself to become. When clarity is missing, confusion takes over. Confusion leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to procrastination. Procrastination slowly turns into regret. People say they lack motivation, but what they really lack is clarity. The mind cannot commit to a direction it does not understand. The body cannot endure pain for a goal that is vague. Clarity is choosing one path and accepting the cost of not choosing the others. This is where most people fail. They want progress without loss, growth without discomfort, success without discipline. But clarity demands sacrifice. The moment you decide what truly matters, everything else becomes a distraction. And distractions will fight back loudly. Clear direction simplifies life. When your goal is clear, decisions become easy. You no longer debate whether to train or rest. When you know the standard you have set, you no longer argue with yourself about effort when the destination is non-negotiable. Clarity removes internal chaos and replaces it with order. Action without clarity creates burnout. You push, you grind, you struggle, yet something feels empty. That emptiness comes from effort disconnected from purpose. When effort is aligned with meaning, fatigue feels different. Pain feels different. Even failure feels useful. You can endure far more when you understand why you are enduring it. Clarity also requires patience. Rush decisions are often driven by fear. Fear of falling behind. Fear of missing out. Fear of being ordinary. But rushing without understanding leads to constant course correction. You start, stop, restart, and repeat the cycle until confidence erodes. Clear action is calm. It is deliberate. It is grounded. To gain clarity, silence is necessary. Distance from noise. Distance from opinions. Distance from comparison. When the mind is constantly reacting, it cannot reflect. You must create space to think deeply, not emotionally. Ask yourself difficult questions and do not rush the answers. What do I want to master? What kind of person must I become to achieve it? What habits are pulling me away from that identity? Clarity is not a one-time event. It is a practice. You revisit it daily. You refine it as you grow. The clearer your vision becomes, the sharper your actions become. This is why discipline and clarity are inseparable. Discipline follows clarity. Without clarity, discipline has no leader. Many people confuse clarity with confidence. Confidence comes later. Clarity often arrives quietly, without excitement. It is simply knowing. The knowing what must be done, even if you do not feel ready. Especially if you do not feel ready. You move forward not because you feel certain of success, but because you are certain of direction. Once clarity is established, excuses lose power. When the goal is clear, comfort becomes the enemy. You start to see how often you negotiate with yourself. You notice how the mind searches for escape. And instead of fighting yourself emotionally, you return to the clarity you set. This becomes your anchor. Clarity also means accepting responsibility. You stop blaming circumstances, people, or timing. You understand that your current position is the result of past choices. This is not a reason for guilt. It is a source of power. If your choices created this life, your choices can change it. With clarity, small actions gain importance. You respect the process. You understand that mastery is built through repetition, not intensity. You stop chasing dramatic breakthroughs and start honoring daily discipline. Each focused action becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. When clarity leads, action becomes precise. You conserve energy. You move with intention. You stop wasting effort on things that do not move you forward. Life becomes simpler, not easier, but simpler. Fewer options, fewer excuses, fewer regrets. Clarity before action is not about overthinking. It is about alignment. Once alignment is achieved, you move decisively. You act without drama. You act without complaint. You act even when no one applauds, because the direction is clear, and that is enough to keep moving when motivation fades, when results delay, when progress feels invisible. Most people wait to feel ready before they act. They wait for motivation to appear, for energy to rise, for the mood to feel right. But motivation is unstable. It depends on emotions, comfort, and external circumstances. Discipline does not. Discipline is built in ordinary moments, repeated daily, especially when there is no desire to begin. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a structure. A spark can light a fire, but only structure keeps it burning. When life becomes difficult, motivation disappears first. Discipline remains because it is not dependent on feeling good. It is dependent on commitment. Discipline is trained the same way muscles are trained, through repetition under resistance. Each time you do what must be done despite resistance, discipline grows stronger. Each time you give in to comfort, it weakens. This process is quiet and invisible, but over time it shapes your identity. People often say they lack discipline, but what they really lack is consistency. They try to do everything at once. They burn themselves out with intensity and then disappear. Discipline does not require extremes. It requires reliability. Small actions performed daily outperform grand efforts performed occasionally. Discipline begins with the body. How you sleep, how you move, how you breathe, how you sit. A neglected body creates a distracted mind. A trained body creates stability. When the body is disciplined, the mind follows more easily. This is why daily routines matter. They remove decision-making and reduce friction. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, trust is built. Each time you break one, trust erodes. Over time, you either become someone who relies on their word or someone who doubts it. Discipline determines which identity you carry. There will be days when discipline feels heavy, days when progress seems slow, days when effort feels unrewarded. These days are not obstacles. They are the training ground. Discipline is forged when no one is watching, when no praise is coming, when the result is distant. Daily practice creates momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. The hardest part is not the work itself. It is starting. Once action begins, the mind adapts. Discipline teaches you that you do not need to feel ready. Readiness comes from movement, not from waiting. Discipline also means saying no. No to distractions. No to habits that drain energy. No to people and environments that pull you away from your standards. Every yes has a cost. Discipline is choosing what you are willing to pay for long-term growth over short-term pleasure. Motivation is reactive. Discipline is proactive. Motivation responds to success. Discipline creates it. If you only act when you feel inspired, you give your power to circumstances. If you act because it is time to act, you reclaim control. Daily discipline simplifies life. When standards are clear, decisions become automatic. You no longer debate whether to train, to study, to rest properly, to show up. You simply do it. This reduces mental fatigue and builds calm focus. Discipline is not rigid. It is adaptive. It adjusts without breaking. When conditions change, discipline changes form but not intention. You may slow down, modify the approach, reduce intensity, but you do not abandon the practice. Consistency matters more than perfection. Many people confuse discipline with harshness. True discipline is steady, not aggressive. It is firm but patient. It understands that progress is gradual. It allows recovery without allowing collapse. This balance keeps the practice sustainable. The daily practice of discipline reshapes how you see yourself. You stop identifying as someone who tries and start identifying as someone who does. This shift is powerful. Action becomes natural. Excuses become uncomfortable. Discipline turns effort into habit. Over time, discipline creates freedom. Freedom from emotional swings. Freedom from procrastination. Freedom from self-doubt. When you know you will show up regardless of how you feel, confidence grows quietly. You trust yourself. Motivation chases pleasure. Discipline accepts discomfort. Growth lives in discomfort. This does not mean seeking pain unnecessarily. It means not running from effort. It means understanding that meaningful progress requires tension. Each day is an opportunity to practice discipline. Not tomorrow, not when life slows down. Today, in how you wake up, in how you speak, in how you train, in how you focus. These small choices accumulate. Discipline does not announce itself. It does not demand recognition. It works in silence. And one day, the results speak clearly, not because motivation was high, but because discipline was practiced daily, patiently, without excuses. Before you develop skills, before you chase knowledge, before you try to conquer the world outside, you must first learn to use the body you live in. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the foundation that supports it. A weak, neglected body produces a scattered mind. A trained, respected body produces clarity, stability, and presence. Your body is the first tool you were given. It determines how you breathe under pressure, how you stand in difficulty, how long you can endure discomfort, and how clearly you can think when challenged. If this tool is ignored, everything built on top of it becomes fragile. Strength in life begins with physical capacity. Most people underestimate how much the body influences decision-making. Poor posture creates poor confidence. Shallow breathing creates anxiety. Lack of movement creates stagnation. Fatigue clouds judgment. These are not character flaws. They are physical conditions expressing themselves through behavior. Training the body is not about appearance. It is about functionality. Can you remain calm when your heart rate rises? Can you control your breath when pressure increases? Can you maintain posture when tired? These abilities translate directly into how you handle conflict, failure, and responsibility. When the body is trained, the mind follows. Discipline becomes easier. Focus becomes sharper. Emotional reactions slow down. This is because the nervous system learns stability. Regular physical stress teaches the body that discomfort is survivable. This lesson changes how you interpret challenge in every area of life. The body also teaches honesty. You cannot lie to it. If you avoid training, it weakens. If you abuse it, it breaks. If you neglect recovery, it deteriorates. The body reflects your habits accurately and without judgment. This feedback is valuable if you are willing to listen. Movement is essential. The body is designed to move, not to sit endlessly. When movement is removed, energy drops and the mind becomes restless. Regular physical practice clears mental fog and restores a sense of grounding. It reminds you that you are capable of effort. Breath is the bridge between body and mind. When breathing is shallow and uncontrolled, stress dominates. When breathing is steady and deep, the nervous system calms. Learning to control the breath during exertion trains you to remain composed during pressure. This is not theoretical. It is practiced daily through physical training. Posture affects perception. How you hold yourself changes how you experience the world and how the world responds to you. A collapsed posture signals defeat before words are spoken. An upright posture communicates readiness and self-respect. This is not about dominance. It is about alignment. Training the body builds resilience. You expose yourself to controlled stress and recover from it. This process teaches patience. Progress is slow. Strength is earned. There are no shortcuts. This mindset transfers into work, relationships, and personal growth. A strong body creates boundaries. When you respect your physical limits and train them gradually, you learn when to push and when to rest. This awareness prevents burnout. It teaches sustainability. You stop swinging between extremes and find rhythm. The body also stores emotion. Stress, fear, and tension accumulate physically. Without movement, they remain trapped. Physical training releases the stored tension. It restores balance. Many mental struggles are eased not by thinking more, but by moving more. Using the body as a tool requires consistency. Occasional effort does little. Daily practice compounds. It does not need to be extreme. It needs to be honest. Show up, apply effort, recover, repeat. When the body is neglected, confidence becomes fragile. You rely on external validation. You avoid challenge. When the body is trained, confidence is internal. You trust your ability to endure. You know that discomfort does not break you. A disciplined body sharpens awareness. You notice tension sooner. You correct posture earlier. You regulate breath instinctively. This awareness spreads into how you speak, how you listen, how you respond. The body grounds you in reality. It pulls you out of overthinking and into direct experience. Effort replaces rumination. Action replaces anxiety. Presence replaces distraction. Respecting the body is not selfish. It is responsible. Your ability to serve, lead, and create depends on your physical capacity. Neglecting it limits your potential. Training it expands what is possible. Your body is not an obstacle to overcome. It is the instrument through which you experience life. When you learn to train it, control it, and listen to it, everything else becomes more stable, more focused, more intentional. Pain is often treated as something to avoid, something to silence, something to escape from as quickly as possible. From an early age, people are taught that pain is bad and comfort is good. But this belief creates weakness. Pain is not an enemy. Pain is information. It is the body and mind communicating that something is happening, something is changing, something requires attention. When pain appears, most people react emotionally. They panic, complain, or retreat. This reaction blocks learning. Pain does not arrive to punish you. It arrives to teach you. It shows you where you are fragile, where you are unprepared, where you need to adapt. Ignoring pain does not make it disappear. It only delays understanding. There are different kinds of pain, and clarity comes from learning to distinguish them. There is destructive pain that signals injury or harm. That pain requires adjustment and care. Then there is constructive pain, the pain of effort, growth, and resistance. This pain is necessary. Without it, there is no progress. Confusing these two leads either to recklessness or to stagnation. Physical training reveals this truth clearly. Muscles grow by being stressed. Endurance increases by being challenged. Breath control improves by operating near discomfort. If pain were avoided completely, the body would remain weak. The same principle applies to the mind. Emotional strength is built through facing discomfort, not avoiding it. Pain exposes limits. Limits are not failures. They are data. When you feel pain during effort, it tells you how far you can currently go. Over time, with consistent exposure and recovery, that limit expands. But only if you listen instead of react. Pain observed calmly becomes guidance. Avoiding pain creates fear. The more you run from discomfort, the more power it has over you. Fear grows in avoidance. Courage grows in exposure. When you stay present with pain, without dramatizing it, it loses its authority. It becomes manageable. It becomes temporary. Modern life encourages numbness. Distraction, entertainment, and convenience are used to drown out discomfort. But numbness blocks growth. If you cannot feel pain, you cannot feel progress either. Sensitivity is not weakness. Awareness is strength. Pain also reveals attachment. It shows you what you are unwilling to let go of. Comfort, ego, identity, expectations. When pain threatens, these resistance arises. That resistance is valuable information. It points directly to where growth is required. In emotional situations, pain often signals misalignment. A boundary has been crossed. A value has been ignored. A truth has been avoided. Suppressing emotional pain leads to resentment and confusion. Listening to it leads to clarity and adjustment. Pain slows you down enough to notice details you usually ignore. Breath becomes shallow. Posture collapses. Thoughts race. These signals teach you how stress affects you personally. Once you see these patterns, you can train differently. You can breathe deeper, stand stronger, respond calmer. Treating pain as information changes your relationship with effort. You stop asking how to avoid discomfort and start asking what it is teaching you. Is your technique wrong? Is your preparation lacking? Is your recovery insufficient? Pain answers these questions honestly. Growth requires friction. Friction creates heat. Heat creates discomfort. Trying to remove discomfort removes transformation. This does not mean seeking pain recklessly. It means not running from necessary resistance. Mental pain works the same way. Doubt, frustration, fear, and failure all carry information. They show you gaps in skill, belief, or preparation. If you immediately numb these feelings, the lesson is lost. If you observe them, adjust, and continue, resilience forms. Pain also builds humility. It reminds you that you are human, limited, and in process. This humility keeps arrogance in check and keeps learning alive. Without pain, ego grows unchecked. With pain, awareness deepens. When pain is met with patience, it becomes tolerable. When it is met with panic, it becomes overwhelming. The sensation itself may be the same, but the relationship to it changes everything. Control begins not by eliminating pain, but by regulating response. Training yourself to remain calm under discomfort has wide effects. Difficult conversations become easier. Pressure situations become manageable. Failure becomes instructive instead of devastating. This calm does not come from confidence alone. It comes from repeated exposure to discomfort without collapse. Pain is temporary, but the lesson it carries can be permanent. Every challenge leaves information behind. The question is whether you collect it or waste it. Complaining wastes it. Avoiding wastes it. Reflecting transforms it. When pain is respected, not feared, it becomes a guide. It shows you how to refine technique, pace effort, strengthen weak areas, and recover intelligently. This applies to the body, the mind, and character. Seeing pain as information does not make it pleasant. It makes it useful. And usefulness changes everything. Pain stops being a signal to quit and becomes a signal to adjust, to learn, to grow, to continue with greater awareness. Talent is impressive at first glance. It draws attention, creates admiration, and often leads people to believe success should come easily. But talent alone is fragile. Without consistent effort, it fades, stagnates, and eventually becomes a source of frustration. Consistency, on the other hand, is quiet. It does not announce itself. It builds slowly, relentlessly, and over time it surpasses natural ability. Consistency is the ability to return to the work again and again, regardless of mood, results, or recognition. It is not fueled by excitement. It is fueled by commitment. While talent may give someone a head start, consistency determines who finishes strong. Many talented people fail not because they lack ability, but because they rely on it. When things come easily, discipline is never developed. When challenges appear, effort feels unfamiliar. Consistent individuals expect difficulty. They are not surprised by resistance. They plan for it. Consistency creates compound growth. Small actions, repeated daily, accumulate into significant progress. This growth is often invisible in the beginning. Weeks pass with little noticeable change. Months pass with gradual improvement. Then one day the difference is undeniable. Talent without consistency never reaches this stage. The world often celebrates breakthrough moments, but those moments are built on repetition. What looks like sudden success is usually the result of thousands of unremarkable days. Consistency builds the foundation that talent alone cannot sustain. Consistency also builds skill. Skill is not a gift. It is refined through repetition, correction, and patience. Each repetition removes inefficiency. Each correction sharpens precision. Over time, the consistent practitioner outperforms the talented amateur who practices only when inspired. Talent can create shortcuts, but shortcuts limit depth. Consistency forces you to understand fundamentals. Fundamentals create mastery. When pressure rises, fundamentals hold. Talent without fundamentals collapses under stress. Consistency builds mental strength. Showing up daily teaches you to work through boredom, frustration, and self-doubt. These emotions do not disappear. They become familiar. Familiar discomfort loses its power. Talent never teaches this lesson. In competitive environments, consistency is reliable. Talent fluctuates. Some days are strong. Some days are weak. Consistency stabilizes performance. Stability creates trust. Trust creates opportunity. Consistency also removes fear of failure. When effort is habitual, failure is no longer personal. It is part of the process. Each mistake becomes feedback. Consistent effort transforms failure into information instead of identity. Talent often seeks validation. Consistency seeks improvement. Validation fades quickly. Improvement compounds. Those who focus on improvement stay grounded and adaptable. Consistency requires patience. Results do not arrive on demand. This patience is uncomfortable. Many quit during this phase. Talent may attract early praise, but praise can become a trap. Consistent individuals learn to work without applause. Consistency simplifies decisions. When the habit is established, there is no debate. The work is done because it is scheduled. This reduces mental resistance and preserves energy for execution. Over time, consistency builds confidence. Not the loud kind, but a quiet certainty. You trust yourself because you have evidence. You have shown up before. You will show up again. Talent without consistency lacks this foundation. Consistency also creates resilience. When setbacks occur, consistent people return to routine. Routine provides stability. Talent-driven individuals may panic when results drop. Consistent individuals adjust and continue. Talent is potential. Consistency is realization. Potential admired but unused becomes regret. Realization built slowly becomes fulfillment. Consistency levels the field. It allows ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. It turns average beginnings into exceptional outcomes. Talent may determine where you start. Consistency determines how far you go. In the long run, consistency is unbeatable. It does not burn out. It does not depend on mood. It does not disappear under pressure. It endures. Those who commit to consistent effort build something unshakable. Day after day, rep after rep, decision after decision, consistency shapes identity. Eventually, the question is no longer who is talented, but who is still standing, still practicing, still improving, still moving forward with quiet determination. Responsibility is often misunderstood as a burden, something heavy, something that limits freedom. Many people try to avoid it, believing that fewer obligations mean less stress and more ease. In reality, avoiding responsibility creates weakness. Taking responsibility creates power. The moment you accept full ownership of your life, you reclaim control over it. Blame feels easier than responsibility. When something goes wrong, blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck provides temporary relief. But that relief comes at a cost. The cost is power. If something is not your responsibility, then it is not within your control. And if it is not within your control, you are helpless to change it. Responsibility shifts your mindset from victim to agent. Instead of asking why this happened to me, you ask what can I do about it? This question is empowering. It opens options. It creates movement. Even in difficult situations, responsibility returns your ability to act. Taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything. It means recognizing your role in outcomes and focusing on what you can influence. This distinction matters. Responsibility is forward-looking. It is about response, not guilt. When you accept responsibility, excuses lose their grip. Excuses protect comfort but destroy progress. They justify inaction and delay growth. Responsibility removes these shields. It exposes reality clearly and demands action. Responsibility builds strength through accountability. When you know you are accountable for your actions, standards rise. Effort increases. Discipline improves. You no longer wait for permission or perfect conditions. You act because the outcome depends on you. People often underestimate how much power exists in small responsibilities. Waking up on time, keeping your word, maintaining your health, managing your energy. These small acts of ownership compound. Over time, they build reliability. Reliability builds confidence. Confidence builds leadership. Responsibility creates clarity. When you own your decisions, you pay attention to them. You think more carefully. You act more deliberately. Life becomes less reactive and more intentional. Avoiding responsibility keeps people stuck in cycles. The same problems repeat because nothing changes internally. Taking responsibility breaks these cycles. It forces learning. It forces adaptation. Responsibility also builds resilience. When challenges arise, responsible individuals do not collapse. They assess, adjust, and continue. They understand that difficulty is part of progress. This mindset reduces fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty. Responsibility brings structure. Power without responsibility is chaos. Responsibility without power is frustration. When you accept responsibility, you develop power gradually. Skill by skill, habit by habit, decision by decision. Responsibility improves relationships. When you own your mistakes, trust grows. When you keep commitments, respect grows. When you stop blaming others, communication becomes clearer and less defensive. Responsibility demands maturity. It requires you to accept that no one is coming to save you. This realization can be uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. It means your progress does not depend on others changing. It depends on you. Taking responsibility sharpens focus. You stop wasting energy on complaints. You invest energy into solutions. This shift increases effectiveness. Responsibility also teaches humility. You acknowledge limits. You seek improvement. You learn from failure. This humility keeps growth continuous. When responsibility becomes a habit, life stabilizes, chaos reduces, patterns improve, progress becomes predictable. This predictability is powerful. Responsibility is not heavy when you grow into it. It strengthens you. It expands your capacity. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. True power is not control over others. It is control over your choices. Responsibility gives you that control. It returns agency. It restores dignity. When you fully accept responsibility, you stop waiting. You stop hoping. You start building step by step. Choice by choice. This is where real power lies.